Hello, warriors. Time for another art class with Miss Adams. We are sticking with our Oklahoma theme for this month, and today we are going to do probably my favorite Oklahoma animal, and that is the Scissortail flycatcher bird. That is our official bird of Oklahoma. I bet a lot of you have seen these before. I know I see them all the time, and they're pretty easy to spot, you guys, because they're called scissortail flycatchers for a reason. Their tail looks like two long pieces, sort of like when you open scissors. Their tail kind of goes apart, and there's two long tail feathers sticking out. And that's how you can tell it's a scissortail flycatcher. They are really cool, especially when the tail feathers are separated, and they have really cool coloring that we'll talk about in just a minute. So we are going to go ahead and jump right in. Now, for my oldest warriors, you guys are going to do a little bit more of an advanced drawing. We are going to show our flycatcher with its wings open. It looks like it's about to land on something. Maybe it's landing like this little guy. He landed on some barbed wire, so I hope he's careful. This little guy landed on, just a little twig. You can make yours landing on something or just like, looks like it's kind of flying, swooping down. So we're gonna do it a little different today for you older warriors. So let's go ahead and get started with the eye. I suggest, as you can see, we really want to show the wings spread and the tail feathers. So you want to keep the eye really, really pretty small, guys, to make sure that that cool body fits on the paper. So take a look at where I have my eye. It's off to the side just a little bit, and it's very small, okay? So we are going to start with a very tiny little curve line for the top of the eye. I know it's hard to see, but you guys know how I do the eyes. Curve line on the top, curve line on the bottom, and on the inside, we're just gonna go ahead and fill it in, maybe leave a little space of white showing for that realistic reflection off of its eye. And then we're gonna look at the beak. We are gonna make the line where the beak is connected to the face. We're gonna make that line first, and then we'll draw the beak sticking out. So just a little, guys, it's not a flamingo, it's not a toucan with like a huge beak. Their beaks are really pretty small. So definitely keep it really pretty small and short in front of the eye. Just a little ways, I'm gonna make a tiny, tiny little curve line for where the beak is touching the face. And then we'll make it angle out and back in for the beak. So watch, I'm just gonna bring it out, pretty skinny back in. See, it's just a little small beak. And then you can draw right down the middle, that line, to show where the beak can open. And if you want, mine is really, really pretty small, but if you want to add just a tiny little dot on the top part of the beak for its nostril, that's another great realistic detail you're welcome to add. Now, we are going to show the top of the head coming back just a little bit. So notice it doesn't have a huge arch to it. There's not like a big bump over the eye. It sticks pretty close to the eye, and it just curves back a little ways. So starting from the beak, I'm going to stick it pretty close to the eye, and it's just going to curve back and start to maybe dip down a little bit. See how it curves down a little bit? And then we're going to show just a little bit of the neck just to kind of get an idea of where that's going to be, just to sort of curve it back. And we're going to leave the head alone here for just a minute because now we're going to start the wings. So as I said earlier, this is a little bit more advanced. We're not just making the wings, straight down at its side. We're gonna make it look like it's more in action. So the wings are open, and it's obvious that he's flying, he's in the air. So we are gonna go ahead and start a little ways back, and I'm gonna make this line that comes up for this portion of the wing. Notice how it goes straight up, and then it's gonna curve over. So let's just focus on this line right here, just go straight up. So a little ways back, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna make a line that comes straight up for this part of the wing. Now look, my head is not touching that line. If yours isn't either, just go ahead and make it a little longer, let it touch. So I've got this line coming up, and then I'm gonna make this curve line for this part of the wing curving back, and it slightly curves up and it comes back for however long you want the wing to be. There's no right or wrong, just kind of guesstimate how long you want the wing. But notice how his wing is really pretty big, bigger than his body. So look, I'm looking at my body. The wing is even bigger. Their wings are longer than their body. So if you make a wing, this long, his body's gonna be teeny tiny. So you want to make it kind of a little bit big, okay? So just keep that in mind. I'm going to make this slanted line up and over for that bottom part of the wing. Oh, need another Sharpie. Now, we're going to go ahead and show this section of the wing. We're going to break down the wing into the different sections. I know it looks like a lot of detail, and it is, but we're going to break it down so it's a little bit easier for you to see. Okay, so all we're going to do, notice where it curves over right here. See this curve coming back? Go over just a little ways from that, and that's where we're going to start this section of the feathers. See how they're smaller and they're a little closer together, and they're just going to come down. So watch. I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to make little curve lines for that section of feathers. They are smaller and they're more tightly packed together. And look, it's just going to go a little bit below. See where I started this line? It goes just a little bit below that. Then we're just going to make it touch so it just kind of slants up and touches. That's all you need to do for this section. Then we are going to make another row. This time they're going to be just a little bit longer and skinnier. Again, you're going to take your time. We're just breaking it down. Take your time. This time I want you to start on the bottom and just make a slanted line that comes down a little ways. And it's going to be a little bit longer than this section, just down. And then you are going to start to make longer, a little bit skinnier feathers. Taking your time. This is a good time if you need to pause the video to go a little slower. That's fine. You know, Miss Adams, I kind of rush. Don't rush like Miss Adams. I'm just taking my time, and look, I'm filling this in all the way straight up with those little bit longer feathers. And I just kind of let it disappear. So I took my time and just followed it straight up. That's all you need to do. Now comes the next section. These are the longest, skinniest feathers. So again, we are going to make a slanted line. Now look, it's longest and skinniest at the top, but guys, look, it does get shorter as it goes to the bottom. These wings or the feathers, get shorter as they come down. So I don't want to make a super long curve line over here on the bottom. I'm going to make just a little bit shorter curve line, about the same as this one on the bottom, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and make these the skinniest, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going to follow very carefully. Like I said, you can pause the video if you need to. Oh goodness, I need another Sharpie. Having bad Sharpie luck today. And I'm just going to make those long, skinny feathers. And look, as I come up, they're going to start to get longer, guys. See how I'm going to start to make them a little bit longer? If you want to, I even sometimes jump around just to make sure I'm on the right track. I might even jump up here and make the longest of the feathers, just to make sure I'm kind of on the right track. And then start to let them get a little shorter as they come down, and they'll just kind of meet the middle. You guys do it how you want, but just take your time, go nice and slow, okay? So we have this wing. This is his wing. If I was flying, this is this wing that's closest to you. So now we are going to go ahead and show the wing that's further away. This one, it's a little lower. And as you see, this one really slants up. This one slants more just over, just barely slants a little bit. So we're going to start this wing about the middle-ish. Just kind of guess. There's no right or wrong, but look about the middle of the wing, go over, maybe up a little ways from the middle. You really can't get it wrong, guys. And we're just going to make a short slanted line that comes up. So I'm going to look here, make a short slanted line that comes up. And then we're going to make another slanted line for that longest, skinniest feather. We're going to slant it more straight over. So watch, I'm going to make it slant straight over for that long, skinny feather. We are going to do, guys, the same thing that we did, just slightly different. So I'm going to look at the bottom of my first wing, find that corner. I'm going to come up a little ways, and I'm just going to make a slanted line that comes down. This is for this section of feathers right here. So watch. I'm going to make it slanted down, and then I'm just going to, all I'm going to do, guys, just like last time, fill it in with curve lines, taking my time. Pause the video if you need to. Taking my time. That's all I need to do. And then we're gonna go ahead and add the longest row, the skinniest row of feathers. Because it's on the other side of his body, you might be wondering where these tiny little feathers are. You just don't see them because they're hiding. So we only are showing the second 2 row of feathers, okay? So we are gonna go ahead now. We've got this middle section going on. Now we're gonna make the longest, skinniest section. So I'm gonna look where I started here. It's a little bit different again because it's bent a little different. I'm gonna look right here at this row and I'm gonna go down just a little ways. And this time I'm gonna make it just a little bit longer. Now we are gonna fill in with those longest, skinniest feathers. Like I said, it's bent just a little differently than this first wing, so we see it just a little bit different. And I'm just gonna go ahead and fill in with those long, skinny feathers. Take your time, go slower than Miss Adams. I'm not making artwork, I'm just doing an example. You are making artwork, so be sure you take your time and fill it in. Okay, so now we've got these long, these outstretched wings that are about to land. Let's go ahead and make the body. Oh, before I forget, let's add the details on its face. I always forget. They look, because of the shadow and because of the way their feathers are, around their eye, a lot of them look like they almost have this sort of cool light gray mask around their eye. So go ahead and just make a little curve line that comes forward and back, and then back and forward. That's a cool detail, and you can color that a little bit darker later. And they also, a lot of them look like they have these darker gray feathers sort of on part of their head. So to show that, because they're feathers, we're gonna make it, you know, a little bit more of a dotted line instead of a smooth line. We're gonna make from the wing over to the eye a little dotted line. And then we're gonna make another curve line that just kind of comes down and touches. So that's just sort of an extra realistic detail for you oldest warriors to add to your Scissortail Flycatcher to make it look really realistic, okay? So now let's go ahead and start with his body. We are gonna make, starting up here, we started, remember his little neck? We're gonna go ahead and now make his belly, and look, it curves down, and we're gonna stop it. Now look where it curves. It doesn't curve like straight down. It curves sort of back, and it stops where his leg is. We're gonna start his leg. So I'm gonna stop it, you know, just a little ways back. Like, look at that very first section, those tiny little feathers we started right here. Look at that very first section. That's about how far back I'm gonna make it, just kind of guessing. So I'm just gonna make it kind of curve down and back, and look, it sort of lines up with that first section of feathers. Just guessing, no worries if it's a little different. Now, he's kind of got his legs up a little bit because he's flying. They're not like perfectly straight down. They're kind of bent a little bit. So wherever his leg touches his body at the top, it's a little thicker. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and make, not at the end of this line, but up a little ways, I'm just gonna make a curve line, almost like a really skinny U. I'm just gonna kind of make it curve down a little bit and back up, sort of like a skinny U. And then we're gonna make his leg slanted. Now, of course, these are birds. Birds don't have big fat elephant legs, right? Very skinny little legs. So we're just gonna make a slanted line that comes forward a little ways and very skinny next to it, forward for his leg. And then his toes are kind of clenched, like they're kind of curved a little bit. So we're just gonna make a toe coming forward a little ways and a toe coming back a little ways. And then really, really skinny, we're just gonna sort of trace what we've already got right next to it, just curve it forward and touch, okay? Now, we are going to look at this line we started here. We're gonna stop, jump over that U, and we're just gonna make it back just a little bit. We're gonna make it touch here in just a second. We're just gonna make it extend a little bit more so that we can see the other leg poking out the other side. You don't see that top thicker U part. You only see the leg sticking out, that skinny, skinny leg. So we're just gonna sort of follow what we've already got, maybe a little shorter since it's further away. We're gonna slant a line forward and really skinny, slant another line forward, and then add his toes with the curve line and a curve line. Super skinny next to it, double it, and make it touch. Okay, so we're just gonna let it hang out right here. We're gonna make this touch the tail feathers in just a minute. So let's get his very famous scissor tail feathers, okay? So looking at the corner of this first wing, find the corner of that very first wing that we drew, and I'm gonna come over just a little bit, and I'm gonna start with a curve line that kind of comes down, and then come over, you know, in between the feathers of the two wings somewhere. It doesn't matter where. I'm just gonna kind of make it touch. And then we're gonna go ahead and make the tail feathers sticking out. So you can make them stick out more this way, more down. The way that my curves are going, I'm gonna make mine stick more down, but you could definitely slant your tail feathers. It's up to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a curve line. Very long. They have long tail feathers, guys, much longer than their body, okay? So if I have a body this big, I definitely don't want tail feathers this long. I want to make it longer than my body. And then we're just going to go ahead and make it curve out. And then from the middle-ish somewhere, we're just going to go ahead and double it. And double it. And then, guys, you can see some layers of feathers, very skinny. Like I might want to double it really, really skinny on both sides. You don't want it super thick. The tail feathers are very skinny. But if you want to double it just to show a few layers, I could even show a few curve lines on what I've already got, just here and there, because you can sort of see some curves, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and make this curve just sort of disappear. We're going to make this extend it down and make it disappear wherever it touches, okay? So once you've got this, I want you to think about adding a few details if you would like. You could come up here to this very first section. I could add a few little tiny curve lines to show that those are teeny tiny little feathers. I could even show a few little curve lines along his belly. I could show a few curve lines back here. I've got a lot of space right here. I think I'm gonna add another layer of feathers just to cover that space a little bit. Just make it how you want. If you want to show a few little scales along his legs. We've talked about bird scales before, little teeny tiny straight lines. Make your bird however you want. Then I want you to think about background as always. Make it look like he's landing on something, right? Or maybe there's like a little fly, Scissortail flycatcher. He could be like swooping in to grab a bug. He could be swooping onto a flower. He could be swooping onto a tree branch, whatever you'd like. Let's see, this guy's kind of swooping onto a twig. So I'm just gonna show like this rough, bumpy little skinny twig. Maybe there's even some twigs coming off here and there, just rough, bumpy lines. You could show some background if you want to. You could show a field of flowers. You could show a sunset. You could do whatever you like in the background. And then I want you to look closer at their coloring. They're really cool, you guys. Underneath the wings, and what I thought would be cool to do with you older guys is to show you that underneath their wings, they have like this peachy pinky color, so you could definitely add some of that peachy pinky color. They also have it sort of coming down the back side of their body. Their feathers have lots of grays to them, maybe some black. Some of their feather parts look a little bit darker. So with your coloring, you could certainly add some of that really pretty little bit of pink and peach and show some of the gray and black. But of course, if you don't have those colors at home, guys, it's no big deal. Just color it however you want. You can have a purple Scissortail flycatcher, no problem at all. But I just want you to think about the colors that you're using. If you want them to look realistic and you have the access to those colors, then that's gonna make it look really cool, really special, okay? So that is our Scissortail flycatcher. Hope you guys are well. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye, warriors.